I'm not the captain of the free world. I'm not the president or president-elect. I'm not, the captain of industry and so.
But what we're actually doing is remembering forwards. So it's almost as though we've turned the whole thing around 180 degrees.
In the room, 52 Jokers Wild. What is it? The 4th of November. Well, no, I don't even think we should be saying things like that. Because that then puts a timeline in, and
all the way through our show, we've been saying today's date is
dates,
and then we're always
episode,
6 weeks
and
later.
it's meant to be.
It's episode 51.
Yeah.
We've reached Area 51, believe it or not, because we're in that Twilight Zone where we're not sure what's happening, because we've had one of those days that's been very distracting, a bit like the two presidential elected people, whoever they are, and there could be civil war before by the time this show goes out, when everybody else knows who's going to be the president of the United States of America. But at this point, we do not know, and whether or not all the ballots are going to be counted or not, we're still in that kind of Twilight
I'm going to
Zone.
stop you, because you're actually now dating it. What you're doing is, we can't sell this piece of information 75 years from now, because we're talking about two old codgers, and not ourselves, but some two American dudes.
This will become
in their mid-70s or early 70s.
Historical
That's
artifacts.
Exactly.
Which
so
will be
if
very
we were
important.
trying to be generic and non-branded and not time relevant, then it's meant to be, if you were doing a mentoring, coaching something, or a learning this, that and the other, it isn't about the day in question. It's not about the person in question, It's about the type of activity. And we were talking about this a couple of minutes ago before we started this. It's the avatar something. It's not the specific person. It's a type of person. If they were doing something and had these problems, would it help them? Would it motivate them? Would it move them on? It's not, it has to be Mr. Trump or Mr. Biden. It's anyone who wants to be the president of the free world. Will they go through this sort of process? Do they have their campaign managers? What's their budget? Kanye West, I think, has just dropped out. Well, it's between two. He was never in. That was a marketing ploy, a big spend, but he's also set the stage for, back in 2024, I'll be back. He's going to do an Arnold Schwarzenegger on and go, I'll be back then. I have got the money. I'm going to spend it. I want to be the captain of the free world. I want to, in 2024, let these two old codgers fight it out. Whoever gets it in the end doesn't matter, because my game is in 2024, and whatever I'm left with then, if you don't destroy the world or if you fix some of the problems, then I'm going to float my boat. It's about me then. But that was what led me to think that this show should be, or could be about, it's meant to be about you, not me. It's all, and we were talking about relationships earlier on. And again, for us to have a relationship with, other than with ourselves, it's about everybody else. We've got to make it about them. And what we get left with is for us. And then it's about us. Because if we're there in that relationship, then we're going to win. We're going to be considered. We've got into the mindset, the consideration set. They want to speak with you, to you, or hear from you. So at the moment, we're producing what we want to produce, what we think others would like to hear, and we're putting it out there. But we have to stop being a we in the context of that we needs to extend beyond the two of us. It needs to include others, and now it has to be about them, so we can win in 2024.
I think we are actually doing that, because I know we've been sort of trying to emphasize this idea of are we being narcissistic in what we're doing because we're just entertaining ourselves in what we're trying to do. But actually, earlier on, my Australian cousin rang up, and during the conversation, she says, "Oh, I really love that episode that Garvin talks about, the knives in the drawers, and he gave his kids the knives, and he went, oh my God, I've just armed them, They'll be rife for the next presidential elections because they'll be ready and armed. They'll be there to go and fight for their votes and everything else. Anyway, back from Area 51, where there's no UFOs flying around here. No, I think in the conversation that I had yesterday as part of that panel with the University of Ulster, everybody on the panel was talking about how you build relationships with your clients. And I know that as an editor, I was trying to get inside the head of all my clients. And the sooner I could get inside their head to work out what was in their mind that they wanted me to do for their project, the quicker they could then go off and go on to something else, because they had the confidence that I would be producing what they wanted. There'd be no ambiguities because I was in alignment with them. And I was working for their objectives and trying to get those things going. And I think that's what all those other people that are in industry were talking about, was they were saying, once you're inside your mindset of your client, you're no longer thinking of you. You're actually no longer, that chitter chatter box is actually gone, because it's no longer you worrying about what you're going to do. You're outside thinking about other people. And and I think it's a lot fresher and a lot more freeing, because you're then outside, away from your own mind, which is where they were saying that a lot of the problems that people are having in the lockdowns that have been going on, because people are then stuck inside their own heads, inside their own houses. They're not sure what to do. They've never had to initiate their own projects or their own ideas. And the people that have been successful, and I just mean successful in keeping the mind in place, have been people that have done projects during this period. And we, in a way, have been successful because we set out, and here we are on episode 51. We've done 51 little projects, and 153, or will do by the time this is out, little extra small projects, and a book that comes out of the things that we've discovered and learned ourselves from this experience that we're actually going through. And there's where the value is, because we're seeing that we can do stuff and we can share the knowledge that we've gained over 52 years in some cases into these projects. Because really, over the last year, you've been reflecting upon the previous 52 years, and you've been actually pumping out some of the ideas that you've had, Garvin, and some of the ideas I've had, that we want to share with those other people, because we know that there's value in there, and we don't want it just to disappear and sort of dry up and go away and feel it, because then it would have been a wasted life, because we wouldn't have actually shared that knowledge. Do you know what I mean?
That's interesting, because I was talking to my sister earlier today, and a little bit of that because of what's going on in the Americas, and I'm saying, at my age, what's it all about? You do get that every now and again. You stop, you're the bunny rabbit in the headlight, and you go, 50 something years. What have we done? Nothing. No. You're just going to throw that throwaway comment, because it's a generalization. You don't go start going listing, well, I'm in the house I'm in, and I've got my family and my friends and my this and my that. I'm not saying the nothing there. I'm saying, I'm not the captain of the free world. I'm not the president or president-elect. I'm not, the captain of industry. But we talked about this before. An awful lot of people suddenly go, they're trying to measure their value by an unrealistic expectation measure of, did you ever try to be the president of the United States or of your country or get into politics? So what are you talking about? You didn't even get into politics in your homeland. You're not comparing yourself to, look at, Donald Trump, and he's a billionaire. Well, we don't know if he's a billionaire. He's money written off here. He might be. The perception is all of this. The perception is he's doing this. He could be just a puppet master or the puppet itself, depending. But it's nothing to do with that. So the question that was really coming back on a simple level to me was, am I here? Have I contributed anything to this planet? Am I leaving my mark? And we've touched on this in other, of our talks before. Sometimes you wake up, it's not that you're not happy. That was really a question of, can I do more? Do I want to do more? Should I do more? It's not the shoulda, woulda, coulda again. It's, would you like to do more? And it's not like it has to be that want, that passion thing. Don't be giving out about something you didn't want, had no passion for, and you didn't get because someone didn't give it to you. You didn't want it, you didn't do anything about it. It's not yours to be had. No one's going to hand you anything like that in a fit. Do you want to make a difference? I think that's what I was suddenly coming back to. I want to make a difference. Beyond the family and the friends and all that, that's I love it all. I have it all. I'm happy family. Well, I think I have. I want to make a difference in my business life, in my business journey of what it is I'm going to contribute on the bottom line to make my mark in something on this planet, in this timeline that may be thereafter. So I think I'm in that midlife crisis moment of, I want to make a difference to somebody in some area that makes a difference. And we've chosen the Film Production Academy, and we've chosen helping out those are disenfranchised and don't have their passions, have their skills, and they're just a step away from that opportunity that will make the difference. And that differential is where I think we feel we can make the difference by making a difference to someone else. And I'd be very happy if I can be part of that journey for other people, that we made a difference for them. So I feel better at the end of all that. I don't want to be the president of the free world or the leader of the free world. I just want to make a difference where I can make a difference. And that's the value. So back to you, George.
I think that's actually quite interesting, because you're right there about we're never going to be the president of America. We're never going to be president of Ireland, I wouldn't imagine, or we're never going to be president of the United Kingdom because there's a queen there instead. But we never had aspirations for those. That wasn't our ambition. That wasn't our dream. And I think my dream was, when I was a kid, that somehow I would work in film and television. And it seemed to be a silly idea, because who could get to work in television? But I did. Very quickly, a short period of time after those ideas, left college, worked in television. But then you suddenly realize that sometimes your ideas of success actually outstrip some of those sort of fairly narrow-minded ideas that we may have actually had. And one of the things I began to realize was that there are other ways through television, through video production, there are other ways of actually helping people build their confidence. And I actually got the opportunity to work with a lot of youngsters who were basically told at school that they were worthless, they had no use. But because I could treat them like a human being and listen to them, and kind of gave them a few ideas that through what we were doing, it didn't matter if they chose at the end of it, the course they were on, that this wasn't for them. That what may have seemed to be a negative was actually a positive, because they'd suddenly realized at a certain point that that option to do media or video production wasn't for them. And that was a success, because they could now move on and go and do something else. And I found some students went off to do psychology and became quite successful doing psychology and counseling. And about 10, 15 years later, I suddenly discovered that they were actually making a little video, because they remembered what they did with us. And a little bit of a hobby, they just thought, it'd be nice to get a little bit of that creativity going. But I'm
going to stop you, George.
But no, I'm stopping you
because you're repeating yourself. I've heard this story twice in their videos. You have to keep it real. You go, for all of our followers out there. I want a better line. I want a better ending. I don't want you to be getting of Alzheimer's setting in there.
No. But I've heard you repeat your stories quite a few times. There's certain things.
And you're meant to stop me. I want you to stop me, because that's what they'll start to see. Our people, our couple of customers will start to go, right, we now have the making of them. We have their whole life story. They've gone through. It took a while. It took 51 episodes, but there's no more to be had.
Oh no,
because they're now repeating themselves. And that's it.
I think. There's something I think that's quite interesting, because one of the things that you find throughout, if you listen to a musician, you suddenly realize that they are playing the same bits of music over and over again. And if you listen to their albums over 2, 3, maybe decades, actually, you suddenly discover that their themes are very similar, that they're actually re-exploring those ideas and going over them, because that's where they are. And they don't expand too much, because they have to fit within the confines of what people expect of them.
Oh, and I agree. Now, I'm going to move your story up a level for you.
Go on then.
Yeah. No, I'm going to rephrase your story, because I've heard, what I'm saying is what I've just heard now, and what I was thinking in my mind was, that's what you're doing with me for the last year. You've actually I was a student of one. Yeah. You've been bringing me on this journey. I may want to go into this industry further, or I'll go, Garvin, you're a lost cause. You thought you wanted this. You don't have the passion. That was just a fantasy. Therefore, step back, go back to being an accountant, because you're good at that, or you can do that. But that whole year you've been showing me, here's a little bit of editing, here's a little bit of film, here's a little bit of this, here's what you thought you want, here's what it looks like. It's hard work. It is not glamorous. It's not. you've got to do this drudgery because it's the pain of the job. You cannot get to the pleasure without doing the pain. That's the job. The job is 80% of editing and this and that and the other. We see the president of the free world and we go, oh, isn't it great to be the president? But we don't see the 25-hour days, 8-day weeks, and haven't got a minute to yourself on the planet without 55 people in the background. And it's what is the real job? We can't only have the bit we want because that bit comes with all the rest.
Yeah, no, but the thing is that, like you're already seeing in your mind's eye where we're going with our project, and you're actually living it because it's becoming a memory for you what we're actually doing. And it's also there in my head because I'm playing it out in my mind, in my dreams, in other things. And it's becoming a reality. And all we're doing is we're being pulled like a magnet closer and closer to that actually happening.
I actually love what you just said. It's a very weird little saying. Sorry for cutting across you there, but I'll probably lose it.
Repeat it. Tell us what that saying was again, just to make sure.
There you go. No. We're actually generating memories of a future that hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
You're saying you're going over a memory of something that hasn't happened.
Yep.
A memory of something we haven't actually fully manifested. It's a memory, but that's in past. So, that's why I like that language of
I have a
past
loop,
memory of the future.
Yeah, it's like a time loop because I know that when I'm playing around with editing, I'll actually go across the same thing again and again. And it's kind of going, but I know it's at the end of the film. And for their audience that goes to watch it, it's their future, even though it may seem as though it's a past. But if you're playing those memories, you're living those ideas in your head in the same way that you would have actually been going through a memory of the past. But you're creating a story.
Wasn't that an X-Men movie, Future Memories Past or something? I don't know if you... Yeah. It's one of the episodes of X-Men that came out there. It might be something along the lines of Future Memories Past. And that's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
It was, you had to go back and fix the future on the basis of the memories that were there are going to be the wrong ones of how that timeline played out. So we're actually playing, there's an interesting thing, and everyone does it. We're playing out a number of timelines in our scenario analysis of potential futures. And we now have memories of how these potential futures might play out if enacted this way. And we're bringing it back going, no, we don't want it to play out like that. We need to readjust the present timelines continuously so that does not become a memory past. It's a future memory. Yeah. It's a future memory past.
Well, I think those memories are actually really quite important because it's 5 hours ago since we started to try and do this recording. And all the way through, we were battling different distractions, like a wheelchair came from my mum. You had a phone call from your sister. I had a phone call from an Australian cousin. And it was kind of going one thing after another. And you kind of go, what is going on here? But that memory of our future, we were still playing to because we realized that was so important that it kept dragging us back to this moment. We wanted it to become a reality. And we knew that by doing this show, that we would eventually make that a reality because that's the part of the process we're going through. Now, the great thing of even talking about this,
that's it.
Right, is that we're starting to work through story ideas and they become great possible content for other future stories that we may end up telling within the filmmaking, whether it's documentary or whether it's drama processes that we're going through. And I think that's why it's important because it does. And that's what, because we can live through this and we kind of see the excitement of where we're actually going, what we're planning and anticipating, that gives us the motivation and the driving force to make sure it does actually happen. And we'll stick to that and go for it, regardless of how many times people try to knock us off the path.
No, the weird thing is, if we've already lived in a future past memory, it doesn't actually have to happen. We've already experienced it. This is strange, whereby your imagination is a very powerful thing. We've now enjoyed something that doesn't exist. We keep on enjoying it because we're playing it out in our mind. It's just whether we want other people to actually be able, because they can only interact with the manifestation of it.
Yes.
We can continuously interact with the vision of it and our vision of it. And the fact that we've aligned our language with each other, we've told the story to each other so many times, and we've changed and tweaked it to what this future potential something can look like, so we can actually step in and out of it in commonality or together and go, well, what were we doing on that day? We're doing this, and that's what's happening, and this is the style of something that's going on. And so people can build their businesses. They can imagine. Actually, I think that's what why my wife loved to book a holiday a year in advance, because she can experience and enjoy and think about all the whole year up to actually doing it. Because when you actually turn up and experience it, it was a great experience. You turned up, and when you turned up, it never stopped raining. You did go outside the door, and shit happened, and it was actually the worst holiday you ever had. But for the year before, it was the best, because you let your mind fill in all the gaps. You were not going to fill in the problems and the fears. You were going to fill in the good experiences, and you're going to get over those problems as the best weather is going to be. You're going to make friends and influence people. And that's where an awful lot of people today are. If you're stuck inside, I mean, they're all shopping in their heads. I know that. They're all going, the next holiday when we get out of here, we're going to drink like fish and dance like lunatics, and we're going to make up for the 7 holidays we didn't have in the meantime. So it's not that they've given up dreaming. They're now backfilling. Anything is going to be fucking great. Just going down to the bottom of the road and eating a cracker outside could be great. But when they get to go abroad again and some semblance of normality, it's already the best holiday they've never had, but will have. And no matter what turns out. Yeah, so our future something job or actually it's not job, it's our future relationships. As long as we have these relationships that we're not too sure of what relationships they are yet, but they will exist. We know the type. We will be filling in the individuals that will come from the avatar relationship to the actual who that will take up that spot on cameraman or master something or script writer or whatever. We know the type of people. We know who we are. We know who we'll get along with. We'll know who will rub up the wrong way. Those type of relationships are coming down the line. They're coming down fast. We'll recognize them when we see them. We're very excited about our future, past memories.
Well, the interesting thing is that as you were talking there, earlier on, you'd mentioned, this is a story you told before about the girl that you met who you thought, and you told me you nicked it off this other friend of yours, and you went off on this horror journey. Anyway, the thing is that memory stuck with you for 33 years, and it turns out that the memory for your friend has stuck there for 33 years, and you're remembering backwards. But what we're actually doing is remembering forwards. So it's almost as though we've turned the whole thing around 180 degrees. And our imagination of this event in the future is just as powerful as that event that happened in the past. And we're experiencing both. And we know that if we can get other people to share in that experience that we plan to have, we know that they'll actually impact their lives from that point onwards. And that'll become a memory that they'll have with them that they'll appreciate for many, many years afterwards. So it'll actually flip itself back the other way. But I think that's why those are actually important, because we're starting to realize that what we're actually about is generating future memories for people that they'll hold and cherish for years to come because of the experience that we hope to actually give them.
Now, the flip side of that is in dark times and dark days, and again, I won't claim to understand, there's mental health issues, and we're not claiming anything. We're just saying, just as a by the way, we're all in and out this moment in time, and an awful lot of people can't see a future because they're in a dark place now. But if darkness is the sun is not blocked over. It's not the new ice age. There will be a new day. There will be a new dawn. There'll be a new sun. And for those that can see through it, for those that can't, we want to help them see through it. But it's not about now. Nothing is about now. It's about every now in the future. They're your minutes. They're your moments in time. That's your life and your live stream. So it's about every now, incrementally forward, and every last one of them you can win the lottery. As long as you turn up and you buy a ticket, you have an opportunity and a possibility to win. The lottery. And the lottery, it's not a money lottery. It's the lottery of the next phone call, the next connection on LinkedIn, the next conversation. I keep on coming back to this. If I didn't press that button 2 years ago, I wouldn't know George. I think I know, I've spoken to George in the last 2 years more than anyone I know on the planet, including my wife, my children. Anyway, because of just a pure volume of interaction on a daily basis of 7 hours a day, 5 days a week of planning and constructing and dreaming and dreamscaping. And it's go back 2 years in a day. Who's George? There's no George, and there's nothing I could have thought of at that point in time that would have led to 2 years of talking to him. Trust me. Or I couldn't come up with it. So talking with, we don't know. But we don't know the next moment. Now, we do know if you don't turn up, if you don't get out of bed, if you don't walk outside, if you don't reach outside virtually, then the chances are less. Because for it to reach in is difficult without you being there to be receiving of it. So, there's nice language there. To wait for it to happen, to receive it, and it could happen. It's not about being, receiving. It's about being proactive. As we said, it's about everybody else. It's about making it happen or increasing the likelihood of it happening. So it's not about our Film Production Academy or our job or this. It's about just for anybody out there is to get up, turn up, tune in, tune out of other things, of the bad vibes and the darkness. Tune into the possibilities of the opportunities of future memories past, of create those memories. That's for every day, create a memory. And it just can be simple. It's a baby step. It's a molehill. It'll end up being a mountain. That's what we keep on coming back to. But it's a first step. Any step in any direction. Don't stand still. Don't die a death doing nothing. Anything will do, and then it will get a journey in a rhythm of its own in time. So we have our own rhythm at the moment. That's what we're very excited about. We use our language because it's what we understand, but it's not that we want to be pushing our language to others. It's more the fact, just turn up and use us as an example to turn up.
And I think the other thing is that if you have the attitude that, I can't learn anything, you'll get stuck and you'll stop and you'll slow down. But if you take each morning and each day as a new opportunity to learn something and actually go, what can I learn today? What opportunities by having a conversation with somebody else can I learn from them that I didn't know now? How will my perspective be changed and how will that be broadened, which I think is a really good thing. I think that will be a fantastic way of actually opening things up. And that's the important thing. We can learn something new and we can build. And by taking those small steps, we've talked about that in many other shows, we can begin to grow and start to dream a bit more. Garvin's actually said, well, what do you want, George? What do you want? And sometimes I'm not quite sure, but I actually know that what I do want is I want to enjoy the conversations I'm having with someone. I want to enjoy what I can learn because they've got a different perspective than what I have. And I know once we get the little Film Production Academy going with the courses that we're talking about doing, there's going to be a rich amount of people that are going to come in, 12 people, 12 different perspectives on the processes that we've been talking about, who will bring new things into it that we will learn from and then grow from that and then develop. And then the next one will come along, different 12 group of people, will have a totally different experience. Again, new things to learn. Nothing could be taken for granted. And those are the things that keep you alive because you suddenly kind of go, right, there's something else I didn't know. Right, I've learned from that. What can I do? What can I do to make things better? What can I do to make things better for these people so that their experience is the best one they could possibly have? And that's all you need to do is focus on those sort of things. And I think it's going to be fabulous.
Oh, as I said, it's brilliant already. It's absolutely fabulous. It's not about me. It's all about you, and not you, it's them. So it's about the them. It's about the ones. It's about anyone but yourself. We will benefit. We keep on saying that as a result of, and again, a lot of the sayings out there, the more you give, the more you will get. The more you pay it forward, the more it will come back, and the more you'll leave behind. So therefore, it's to be actually, there's a language. I think we want to be creators. We want to create opportunities, we want to create events, we want to create experiences, we want to create history, we want to create future memories past, and we want to create a ripple effect that it's that people are talking about it, wanting to be involved in it, happy that they heard of it, want to know more about it. So no matter what your business is or what it is you're doing, the only information you need is you don't want to be talked bad about. I think you don't need to be talked about at all, perhaps, if you don't need those affirmations. But the converse, we're a planet of people. We're built to converse. We will die in isolation. We grow by interaction, I think. And therefore the learning is usually through other people and seeing someone and I want to emulate them. And, it's not, you want to be a rock star, it usually translates into, I would like to be able to play an instrument and maybe sing. And if I can actually do that well, I might get paid and I might have a bunch of people that say, you're great. But, it's not that you want to be a rock star in a room. It doesn't exist on its own, in isolation to an audience consuming it. Otherwise, I'm already a rock star. We've touched on it. We're rock stars of the podcast sphere with no audience and no subscribers. But according to our own definition, I feel like a rock star. And that's enough. For me, I didn't feel like a rock star before. Therefore, in my mental health, I would have been not as happy in my being. Therefore, if I can see myself in that Walter Mitty world, it's good. If it feels real to you, it is real, and it's as real as it needs to be in the absence of an outside affirmation. Therefore, then you're loving life and enjoying life and loving that dream, and you're going on a journey to making it real. It doesn't need to get there. Because everybody can't be the rock star, but everybody can go on the journey and enjoy the rock star's music and sing along to it and know the songs and know how to hum it. So I'm humming a couple of tunes, I'm singing a couple of songs. I don't even think they're the same song, a couple of lyrics from different songs, but we're dancing to our own tune. And I think we believe we're rock stars, but we're not asking anyone else if they think so.
So this is episode 51. We've seemed to have gone through area 51 with some of the wacky ideas that we seem to be formulating, going through time in different directions. Remembering past experiences and then remembering future experiences and drawing ourselves closer and closer to make them into a reality. And those are the things that are exciting because we can see what we can learn from those events. And as Garvin said earlier on, it's being able to visualize those memories of the future that will get you over the hurdles of the sometimes dark times of the present. So you've got to be positive and see those things and jump over those things, and you will have a great future at some point or other. I hope you've enjoyed this show. So thank you very much from me, George, and it's over to Garvin.
So the weird thing is it's your own personal Area 51. What's in there is either real or it's not. I think most of us want to think Area 51 houses a couple of weird looking characters, aliens, and we never find out, in our minds, it's always going to be real. Area 51 is alien. You know it. I know it. We dream it. We believe it in the absence of any information to the other side. So believe in yourself. Believe in your Area 51. It doesn't have to be real. It is real if you believe it.
Bye for now.
Take care. All the best.
Do what it says on the tin. Follow and share.